Hey everyone, welcome back to American Jobs, the show that's hunting down real careers that AI still can't touch, at least not yet. Last episode, we rode along with the deputy sheriff and learned what it really takes to keep our streets safe. And today, taking to the skies with professional flight instructor. We're going to find out what exactly it takes to become one, the training, the hours, the nerves of steel, the magic of turning nervous students into confident pilots, and why this job is still 100% human powered. If you're thinking about flying, know someone who is, or just love hearing stories from people who live their passion every single day, stick around. You're in for a good one. One quick favor before we get started, we're not monetized yet, so every view, like, and subscribe actually keeps this series alive. If you're enjoying American Jobs and want to see the ice carver or the no kill animal shelter director, a crane operator, and all the other episodes we've got lined up, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and check the comments. You'll find links to Patreon for monthly support or buy me a coffee for a quick one-time thanks for the fuel. Every single dollar goes straight back into bringing you more of these conversations. All right, let's go ahead and meet today's guest and find out what it really takes to trust your life with someone up at 5,000 feet. And Lonnie, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Well, Jim, thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could be here today. And for everyone listening, I should mention that I've known Lonnie for quite a while. As a matter of fact, I think most of my life since we are brothers. So I had to do a little bit of twisting, but I was able to get Lonnie to appear on the program today. So, but Lonnie has been a flight instructor for how many years have you been a CFI, Lonnie?
Probably 40 years.
That's a long time. I remember going along on some check rides with you when you went up with Margaret Ringenberger, and a lot of people do not know that name, but she was what did they call her in the military? She was
part of the Women's Aviation Forces at WACS, Women's Aviation Corps. Yeah, so she ferried the fighters and bombers from the U.S. over to the European theater for our airmen to fly.
Yeah, she was just
a pretty elite pilot in her day.
Yeah, so she flew during World War II, the planes over to, I think, where did she fly to? Was it Greenland?
England, yeah.
Okay, she actually flew into England.
Yeah, so they used women to take the planes over and deliver them to the men then who would fly them on the missions.
That's amazing. Yeah, so she was definitely a hero. I mean, she flew so many different planes and so many hours. Just an amazing lady, and I was proud that I was able to go up with her and you, of course. This is one question I've never asked you. What made you decide that you wanted to become a pilot?
When I was a little boy, probably before you came along, our mother would take me and Kenneth. She was a single mom. She'd take me and Kenneth out to what is now Fort Wayne International Airport. In the day, it was called Bear Field. And for cheap entertainment, she would take us out to the airport, and I would watch the planes land and take off. And that captivated my imagination. And then one of my favorite uncles, Uncle Oliver, one year for my birthday, got me a model airplane. And again, it kind of stirred some kind of passion in me. And I remember pestering mom at when I was 12, starting around 12, 13, to get my glider's license. And, she said no, we didn't have the money.
Yeah, we weren't rich.
We weren't rich, no, but that seed had been planted, and I was already trying to find ways to become a pilot. And so that was the genesis of it. And
Okay.
then
I was not aware of the background and why you actually wanted to become a pilot. And so let's talk about that a little bit. To become a CFI or a certified flight instructor, there are some certain steps that you need to take first.
Yes.
And that first, of course, is getting your pilot's license, right?
Yep, becoming a student pilot.
Okay.
Yes.
And what does that consist of? What is required to get your pilot's license?
So in the United States, you're going to need to, of course, connect with a flight instructor or a flight school. And then you'll get a physical, and you'll fill out a form that the FAA begins to track your career. And you submit that. And you can start flying at just about any age. So if you can reach the controls, you can start flying. But to actually get signed off and get your license, you need to be at least 16 years old before you can take the check ride with an FAA examiner to get your pilot's license. But that physical, and then filling out some paperwork, and signing up with an instructor or a school.
Okay. Now, how many hours do you need with an instructor in the airplane?
Well, according to the regulations, you need to log at least 20 hours with an instructor. And they'll take you through a certain series of maneuvers to introduce you to those maneuvers, give you time to practice those maneuvers and develop some competence with those maneuvers. But 20 hours minimum, 40 hours total to get your license.
Okay. Now, you say 20 hours minimum, and then you are going to need, my understanding, you need some solo time in there as well. How many hours of solo do you need?
Solo time, well, there's that 20 hours where you'll be doing up to 20 hours of that would be solo if you are, kind of moving through the courses at a good pace. That will include some local flying in the pattern, as we call it, that's around the airport, kind of practicing those takeoffs and landings. And then there's some cross-country requirements as well. But by and large, most students have accrued, 20 or more hours solo time before they go take that check ride with the FAA examiner.
Okay. So you've reached 40 hours. You've got 20 hours of solo. You've got 20 hours of flight time. What does it cost up to that point in today's dollars?
Today's dollars, it can range. I would budget anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 to get your pilot's license today. Back when I got mine, it was $800. But today,
Wright brothers had well.
No, I was at a Navy flight club. And my instructor was $5 an hour instead of $50, and my plane was $9 an hour instead of $150 an hour.
Yeah, Lonnie didn't get his license back in the 30s. He actually got his license back in 1975, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was 17 years old. I joined the Navy. One of my first duty stations was in Lemoore, California, a naval air station. And my dog is.
I thought that was you speaking on a toy there. It's your dog. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to stop and take?
No. Albert's fine back there. He's not bothering me if he's not bothering you.
Okay. So I wound up at NAS Lemoore, a naval air station, and they had a Navy flight club. And so I went and signed up at that Navy flight club and hooked up with a local instructor and started my flying career there at that naval base.
Okay. So you got your pilot's license. So you're actually eligible for the 50-year pilot award. So that's pretty neat, and we gotta see what we can do to get that for you. But so now you get your pilot's license. What's the next step to become a certified flight instructor?
Well, while I was in the Navy, I just had my private license and I stayed a private pilot. And then when I got out of the Navy, I came back to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and there was a flight school, Fort Wayne Aviation. And I had the GI Bill. So I went out there with Uncle Sam's money. I began to work on my commercial license in my instrument ratings. The commercial license is necessary to get your flight instructor rating. And so I began to work on that out at Fort Wayne Air Service.
Okay. Now, did the GI Bill, did that help tremendously with the cost?
Yes, it paid, I believe it was 90% of the cost.
Oh, yeah. So that's tremendous. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I believe today's GI Bill is also approved for flight instruction again.
Okay, great. So now, all right, your commercial license, you've got, let's say you got 40 hours out of your pilot's license. Now, how many hours does it take for you to achieve your commercial flight instruction?
250 hours to become a commercial pilot. And the privileges of commercial pilot is it kind of sets you up now to be compensated for flying. As a private pilot, you cannot be paid to fly. If you take your friends up, they can help defer costs. Like you could split the cost of the fuel, you could split the cost of the airplane rental, but they cannot pay you to fly them anywhere per FAA regulations. Getting that commercial license now sets you on the path to becoming a professional pilot and being paid for your services.
Okay. Now, is there any instruction that you need during the commercial pilot stage?
Yes, you'll need to once you get start approaching those 250 hours. There's another set of flying maneuvers that you'll need to master: chandelles, lazy eights, and then also the tolerances for the maneuvers you learned as a private pilot tighten up. And so you'll want to budget about another 20 to 30 hours with a flight instructor.
What are some of the tolerances that you would need to tighten up on? Like for example, maybe like holding
altitude plus or minus 100 feet on your turns and precision maneuvers, rolling out and back on heading plus or minus 10 degrees. And so it doesn't sound like that's too tight, but you'd be surprised with all that's going on in the plane, how challenging that can be to hit those requirements.
Yeah, to maintain. Okay. Now, so let's talk about, you've got 250 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And now you want to get your CFI, your commercial or your certified flight instructor license. You've got your private pilot's license. You have your commercial license.
Yes.
What other types of training do you need before you can start your certification for flight instructor, or is that all you need?
No, you'll need, now you're going to slide from the left seat of the plane over to the right seat of the plane. And you're going to start to perform all those maneuvers that you learned as a private and commercial pilot from the right seat, as well as you'll begin to learn the theory of how people learn, teaching. Students all learn somewhat differently. Some are more audio, some are more visual, some are more tactile. And so you'll have to learn the different theories of teaching. So each student is different. And how you approach lessons will be customized student by student. So you'll learn some of the theories of teaching, and then also you'll have to learn to be able to teach the maneuvers sitting from the right seat and demonstrating those to a student who would be sitting in the left seat.
Okay. So to do that, obviously, you're going to have an instructor sitting in the left seat, right? For your
Yes,
certified. Okay. And
yes.
how many hours do you need with the certified flight instructor that's teaching you how to become a certified flight instructor?
About 20 hours. If you're good. 20 to 30, I would ballpark it there to give yourself time to practice all the maneuvers and get proficient with them from the right seat, because the scan is different. The instruments look a little different from that perspective. The plane feels a little different. Your body is going to feel a little different. So you want to kind of give yourself time to acclimate to flying from the right seat.
Sure. I mean, that would be just like hopping in a car and, going from
Mhm.
the driver's seat to the right seat and trying to drive from there. I mean,
Yeah.
although you've got controls in front of you, it's got to look a lot different and
Yeah.
feel different.
Yes. And then be able to communicate and verbalize the maneuvers while flying the plane as well. When you're a private pilot, you're not verbalizing so much. You're kind of taking the input from the instructor and working that out. But now you're teaching. So you have to be able to communicate the concepts while demonstrating, and then hopefully tailoring that to your students so they can comprehend and then begin to demonstrate those and internalize and get confident with the.
So, how long does it take then to become a certified flight instructor? I know you've talked about hours, 20 to 30, but realistically, time frame.
I'd say if you were flying consistently, give yourself 3 months minimum. Probably 6 months is more realistic. Just that's kind of what I've seen.
Are there any
weather interruptions and scheduling with the plane and all that stuff?
Are there any advantages to holding other ratings like I've heard like an instrument rating? Is it advantageous for you to get an instrument rating before you start your certified flight instruction or after?
In my opinion, yes, because that is going to just sharpen your skills all the more, and it will set you up as an instructor to kind of maybe be in a little more challenging flight conditions. You might be able to fly at times when others can't because you have that instrument rating. And I think it also will help build your confidence as a pilot to have that instrument rating.
Yeah, I would think that it would. What about other ratings like a multi engine or a high performance? I mean, should you try to get those before, or maybe just
to get your commercial? You will be getting your high performance rating as a part of your commercial license.
Oh, okay.
So, yes. So that puts you into a plane that has 200 horsepower or more, a variable pitch prop, like on a boat where you can change the angle of attack on the prop. You may be turbocharged. You may have retractable gear. So you're adding a little more complexity and workload to the flying in a commercial license.
Okay, that I did not know. Okay. All right. So now you're going along. You've done your flight training. Are there any written exams required to become a certified flight instructor?
Yes, there are two. Theory of teaching is an exam, and then the theory of flight, and the rules and regulations. So you have two exams that you have to pass.
Okay. All right. Now.
And then you also have to do an exam with a DPE, a designated pilot examiner from the FAA. You'll sit down for an oral exam, which could take 3 to 4 hours. It's probably the most challenging of all the exams I've ever taken, that exam, because you have to demonstrate, you'll have to put together a lesson plan. You'll have to teach that lesson plan. You'll have to talk to the theory of flight. You'll have to talk to scenario-based flight instruction. So they put you through quite a few paces over that 3 to 4 hours before you ever go out and fly. And then once you get through the oral exam, assuming you pass the oral, then you jump out in the plane and you're going to spend probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours in the plane, demonstrating and teaching some of those lesson plans that you did on the ground with the examiner. And then he's going to act as a student and probably, do a few of the unexpected things that students do to see how you react.
Okay, so this is then referred to as your check ride. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. And that is then, so you pass your oral exam and your written exam, and now you have passed your check ride. Now,
Yeah.
is that, and then do you then receive your license as a CFI?
Yeah, that day. They'll go into the FAA's on-site online system and log that you successfully passed the oral and written exam and the practical exam, and you'll be issued a temporary certificate. And you could have a student waiting in the hallway and go jump in the right seat and start teaching if you want.
Wow. Okay. So now, your pilot's license, you said between $8,000 and $10,000 to get your pilot's license, and that gets you to say 40 hours.
Yeah.
Now you've got to get another 210 hours of flight time. What does it cost typically to rent an airplane?
That can vary. There are quite a few scenarios out there. If you go to a typical flight school, you're going to pay for a two-seater anywhere from $150 to right now probably around $180, $190 an hour for a two-seat plane. Now that does include the fuel and the oil, and so you can do the math from there at those rates. Another approach would be there's flight clubs. You could join a flight club, and many times you'll find the rental rates are quite a bit lower, but you're paying for the fuel and the oil, and it can still work out to be somewhat cheaper, but you have an ongoing cost with monthly dues, maybe a initiation fee to get in, to buy into the club. They may charge some money to get into the club, but that's another route. Then there's also, if you have a friend who owns a plane and is willing to let you use their plane. Again, I had my GI Bill, so I was able to pay for my commercial time with the GI Bill. So for those folks coming out of the military with today's GI Bill, you could probably cover most or all of that expense to get to those 250 hours with your GI Bill.
Okay. All right. So there are alternate ways to do that. So
one other is a flight college like Embry-Riddle down in Florida. So you can get your bachelor's degree in your hours, but that's typically a more expensive route to go. But it's another alternative. You're going to come out with that college degree and all your ratings up into including your instructor rating, and you can go to work then at a Part 61 school or a 141 school and start working towards the hours you need to maybe get your that ideal job you want.
Okay, so as a certified flight instructor, what kind of pay can you expect?
A fresh CFI, 30, 40 bucks an hour. Some schools now are as high as 50, 60 bucks an hour. And as you get more time and more ratings, maybe you had your instrument instructor rating or your multi-engine rating, then those rates can go up, significantly, $60, $70, $75 an hour for those kinds of skills.
So you can actually make a decent living.
There are people that's all they want to do is be a flight instructor. They're not really interested in going to the airlines and flying all around the country, living in hotels. They love flying. They love teaching flying. They'd like to stay local, and they can make a living at it. A lot of folks like myself, I had my full-time job, but then I did a part-time flight instructor job. So it was a way to kind of stay involved in aviation and still pursue the love of flying by being a part-time flight instructor.
Sure. Now, is being a CFI, is that a good way to build hours, let's say, to become a commercial pilot?
Well, you mean to fly for the airlines?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's typically how it's done, unless you were as a military pilot and you're coming out with thousands of hours already. Typical route for a civilian pilot is to become a CFI and get their 1,500 hours needed to get a look at, or to be qualified to even apply for a job with an airlines, a regional airlines, a small airlines. Now, there are other companies out there that will take you with less hours, like up in Alaska. You want to be a bush pilot up in Alaska. If you have 750 hours, there are companies up there that'll put you to work flying 6, 8-seater planes and flying people in and out of the wilderness of Alaska.
Oh, well, that sounds actually horrible. It's because I hate cold weather, but I guess there's bush pilots down in the Amazon too. So, but then you got to deal with those snakes, and I don't know which one's worse.
Mission Aviation Fellowship, if you want to, get into the missionary work, they have a whole flight wing. I'm also a part of the Civil Air Patrol. That's another way you can take your flying and start building hours, being a volunteer pilot for the Civil Air Patrol.
It opens up a whole new world, really, as a pilot. So let me ask you about what are the biggest challenges of being a flight instructor, would you say?
I think it's each student is different, and kind of attuning to that student and how they learn. The dropout rate is pretty high. People that drop out before they solo and then right after they solo tends to be pretty high. And there's a lot of theories as to why that is, but keeping people motivated and moving forward is challenging.
You think they get cold feet when it comes to solo?
Yes, they do. It seems like a good idea, but when you're up and alone in that cockpit, it's a different experience than having your flight instructor sitting right next to you in that right seat. You're kind of your security blanket. I remember the exact moment and the exact feeling that day when my flight instructor got out of the plane and said, "Okay, your time to solo." It is a real moment of truth.
Right. And I guess you don't want to look chicken, so I guess you just okay, I got this. I'll see you in an hour. I'm going to go fly some patterns and do some touch and goes.
But I've had students drop out after they soloed, and I've had them drop out they were ready to solo, and I wanted to sign them off to solo, and they just, for whatever reason, decided not to. But it's very rewarding when those that go on and you're on the ground watching them in the pattern, making that first solo and doing their landings and takeoffs without you in the plane, and they come back in with their faces just beaming. It's just like a great feeling for both the pilot and the student.
I bet. So let's talk about the students who are, who aren't progressing or struggling. What do you do in that case? That you've got a student who doesn't really necessarily see it.
Yeah. There's several things that you can do. I know changing the instructor. You can't let your ego get involved. Maybe the chemistry just isn't right. So, or, it doesn't have to maybe be long-term. Maybe you've just hit a little hang up in one particular area of the instruction. So you could bring the chief instructor on, or you could bring another instructor, say, "Hey, could you go up with this guy? Maybe I'm just missing something," and
Sure.
See what you see. And so many times that can help. Maybe just trying a different approach to the lesson. But yeah, it's a bit of that's where the art comes in,
Do you have
in the
students
people
who think
skills.
that they're ready for solo and you do not believe that they're ready? Have you had run across that situation?
I am typically pushing them to solo.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
they are pushing me to solo. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. I
Okay.
usually see it before they do.
So, how long have you been a certified flight instructor? How many years?
Let's see. Well, I got my instructor's license with Margaret Ringenberg. I want to say somewhere around 1982 ish in that time frame.
Okay. So, it's been a while.
Yes.
What advice would you give to a new flight instructor?
Uh, Always be learning. Um, there are great programs on the Wings program on the FAA website, instructors. There's usually, if you're at a good school, there's usually ongoing instruction. I'll be pursuing maybe your next rating. For me, I want to do my multi-engine rating. I've been a single engine pilot my whole career. And so, for me, a goal would be to be a multi-engine pilot, but to always be learning. The skills and the knowledge are perishable, so you always have to be keeping the sword sharp, as they say.
Yeah. And with that, um, flight schools, what are they looking for when they hire a certified flight instructor? When you went in to get a job at an FBO or
Mhm.
a flight-based operation, what were the boss? What was he looking for?
I think he was really kind of zeroing in on my people skills. The scenarios, that we discussed is, kind of like helping those students who kind of are getting stuck or losing motivation. What's my customer service look like? What's your attitude towards a student? Are you like this a big ego pilot? You know it all, and you're gonna, you know, treat this student as a lowly student. What are your people skills? And then also according, your ratings. Do you have of course, you got to have your CFI. Are you instrument rating? Are you instrument instructor? So, are you competent? You may even probably will go up for a check ride with the chief instructor and maybe teach a lesson. But I think a big one is going to be those people skills. And can you communicate well? And do you have good rapport with people?
So, are there any requirements for you to maintain your certified flight instruction license?
Yes. So every 2 years, I do a FIRC, a FIRC, a Flight Instructor Refresher Clinic. And there's a couple of ways to accomplish that. I've gone in person and I've done them online. I enjoy both. But you're going to go and do about, I think somewhere around 15 to 20 hours of recurrent training. They'll bring you up to speed on the latest rules and regulations since you last sat through the training 2 years ago. You review the theory of training and teaching again, latest safety information and stats. What's going on in the aviation community, general aviation in particular. Why are planes or why are pilots having accidents? And then that can help adjust what we're teaching and to kind of help drive those numbers in a better direction.
Do you see in today's aviation world? We talk a lot about there being different delays and things like that at airports, um, pilot shortages, things like that. Do you see a need for more pilots at this time, or is it more of we have enough pilots. It's maybe the airlines aren't paying enough. What do you see as the
A few years ago, the airlines were hungry for pilots. I mean, they were actually even importing pilots from other countries because America, our pipeline of new pilots just wasn't keeping up with demand. And the aviation industry is cyclical. You'll see big swings in it at times. And, I know back in the 80s, they were laying off, and finding a pilot's job was very difficult and the pay was not that great. And then, the pendulum swung the other way, and it was a shortage of pilots, and pay went increased. So it's kind of a cyclical world. So to say, that at any one time, what's the picture, what's the trend? It's hard to say. I think right now it's a good career track. I think it pays great, much better than it did back when I was getting my ratings. And you can go on and make great money and have a great career as a commercial pilot in the airlines these days. Then there's also charter pilots. There are more and more demand for private charter pilots. You're starting to see more of these private jets as the prices come down and barriers to entry into jet travel dropping. There's a higher demand for private charter pilots. I've got several friends who fly jets for private individuals.
Yeah, you see some of these jets that go for brand new. I mean, like $3 to $5 million. When before you were talking a minimum of $10 million, and that was years ago. And now today, the prices have come down on those entry level jets, and of course.
Yeah, Cirrus makes a single pilot jet, seats about 7 people, flies about 350 knots. I've flown one. They're very nice. So I'd say there's a lot of opportunity. We didn't even talk about crop dusting. We talked about flight instruction, charter pilots, airlines. There's also helicopters. There's also agriculture. So aviation has got a great future, in my view.
Well, and especially, we're talking about jobs that for now are safe from AI. Why do you see that a flight instructor is safe from AI right now?
Yeah. Teaching those skills and communicating those skills person to person is just not something that I see a computer being able to do. I wouldn't feel comfortable sitting in a plane with the plane trying to teach me how to fly it. I want that human connection. And, humans, I think, have different skill sets and sensory capacities that no computer has been able to emulate yet. Now, once you're in the air, and automation is a big part of aviation, but even today, still, you have human beings sitting in those planes, making sure that automation is performing the way it should do. Because at the end of the day, all that automation is still built by human beings. Sure. And there can be, accidents still happen. Programming has bugs, mechanical things break down. And so having that human factor in the cockpit is still a huge positive. So, my opinion, I don't see people or pilots going away anytime soon.
Let me ask you this: being a flight instructor, I mean, do you find it rewarding? And is all the time looking back that you put in as a private pilot and getting your commercial license and your CFI, was it worth it?
Absolutely. It was worth it to me because I was doing something I enjoyed. And when you do something you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun. So all those practice hours, all those cross-country flights, all those days and nights and winters and summers in the plane, and then being able to be in a position to help others pursue and enjoy that passion is also just another layer of satisfaction. So, you do a gut check your heart. If it's something you're passionate about, that passion can carry you a long way and open you up to, as we mentioned earlier, a big wide world.
Let's say today someone wanted to get their pilot's license. What do they do? I mean, do they pick up the phone? Do they go to the airport? I mean, how do you find a
Yeah,
flight?
I would start with look for a local flight school in your area. They usually have what's called a discovery flight. So they'll take you up for half an hour, 45 minutes. You'll sit in the left seat. Instructor will sit in the right seat. And, you'll put your hands on the controls and get a chance to fly the plane. Nothing too drastic, straight and level, maybe a little bit of turn here or there, but see how it feels and just experience that takeoff and the flying of the plane, having your hands on the controls, and then coming back. And small plane experience is definitely different than sitting in a commercial airliner. It's just a totally different experience. So that's what I would suggest. Or if you have a friend who's got a plane, say, hey, I'm curious. Maybe he'll take you up. Pilots always looking for a reason to go get the plane out of the hangar and go flying.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you can pursue your license today. Is there anything that you want to add to any potential students out there that are looking for a career in aviation? Is there any advice or anything that you would like to add?
I would say my only advice would be is don't wait. And it's never too late. I've had friends in their 30s and 40s change careers. They didn't think it was something they could achieve. And, even if you're in your 30s or 40s and still feel like you have that calling to get in the air, go out to the airport, jump in the plane, start flying, join a flight club, jump into the community, and just take that first step and see if it grows on you. And, you may not become an instructor, but you may still get your license and enjoy many adventures flying family and friends around. Just being a pilot in and of itself is very rewarding.
And I imagine, well, I've known, obviously, I've watched you over the years with your career in flight and flight instruction, and I know you always have a twinkle in your eye when you're going to the airport. So I know how much you love flying and how much you enjoy it. So, well, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's program. Lonnie, I want to thank you for coming on the program today and giving some insight to people who are looking for possibly a new career or a new start in life, or they are just a young person coming out of high school and want to get into aviation and don't know how to do it. This is, I think, a perfect instruction on how for them to do that. And I want to thank you once again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Once again, everybody, I want to thank you for listening to the program today. We're going to continue our American Job Series. We've got more in the can, as they say, coming up here. And we would like you to if you like the series, to number one, to hit the like button so that the algorithms will share it with more people, and then also subscribe to the channel. And like I said, if you want to get involved, because we're not yet monetized, go to the comment section and you can see our Patreon. You can just click on that if you want to sign up. We're going to start posting some episodes early, like 48 hours early, so you can get an early look at those episodes. And then also, if you just want to do a one-time thing, there's a buy me a coffee. But again, you don't need to financially support. If you just want to hit the like and subscribe button, and that just does wonders for us. so we can continue this job on American Series. And with that, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. And thank you for tuning in today. And Lonnie, once again, thank you.
Welcome.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.